Central banks are one of the most powerful institutions in your life, but you were never taught to be aware of that. Because the moment you start questioning them, you start seeing the game. But be sure of this: they decide the value of money, the direction of the economy, and the real worth of everything you've worked years to earn. If they want, they can increase the money supply. If they want, they can devalue it overnight. And while doing so, they don't really answer to you. This video is the story of how central banks moved to the center of modern finance, not as neutral referees, but as the most powerful players in a game they built themselves. This is a story of hidden power, complex financial systems, and an illusion sold as stability. And once you understand how it all started, you'll never look at your paycheck, your debt, or your savings the same way again. Let's go back to 1694. England was broke. A costly war with France had just ended, and the treasury was empty. What emerged wasn't a bank in the way we understand it today. It wasn't created to serve citizens. It was created to finance the state, and to profit from doing so. This is the true birth of modern central banks. Not to protect the economy, but to keep the state alive. Over time, this power grew. By the 19th century, central banks across Europe had taken on similar structures. They were privately owned. They had the power to issue money. They controlled reserves. They rescued governments during crises. In return, they gained extraordinary influence, often without any real public oversight. In America, things were more turbulent. Americans were always deeply suspicious of centralized financial power. The first two banks of the United States were shut down amid accusations of corruption and elitism. For most of the 19th century, the country had no true central bank. The result? Private currencies, speculation bubbles, and violent crises. Complete chaos. The Panic of 1907 changed everything. The crisis was so severe that a private financier like J.P. Morgan had to step in to save the system. And eventually, in 1913, the Federal Reserve was created. It won't be centralized, it will be balanced, they said. It will stabilize the economy, they said. But in practice, it became a massive power controlling interest rates, credit, and the money supply. This is where things get interesting. The Fed is not a government agency, but it isn't fully private either. Its leadership is appointed by the president. But private banks are embedded in the system. It's funded not by taxes, but by interest on debt and fees charged to banks. And it makes decisions that affect millions of lives. But millions can't vote on those decisions. So who does the Fed serve? We know the official answer: employment and price stability. But in practice, it doesn't always work that way. What happened in the 2008 crisis? Cutting rates wasn't enough. Trillions were printed. Banks were rescued. Risky debt was absorbed into the system. The same thing happened in 2020. Markets collapsed. The Fed stepped in. Corporate bonds were bought. Money flooded the markets. The result? Stocks soared. Asset holders got richer, but millions of people lost their jobs. Small businesses shut down. Renters lost their homes. This shows us something important. Central banks don't just manage the economy, they shape it. When rates fall, markets rise. When rates rise, markets fall. When money is printed, asset holders win. When rates go up, workers pay the price. And even though these institutions claim independence, they're deeply entangled with the financial system. The same people move from banks to central banks, and then back to Wall Street. Their language is deliberately complex. Technical terms, long reports. The goal is simple: keep people at a distance. Today, central banks are more powerful than ever. The Fed, the ECB, the BOJ, the BOE, these are not neutral institutions. They are the architects of the monetary system. After 2008, the world changed. Low interest rates became permanent. Money printing became normal. Asset prices exploded. Homes became expensive. Markets detached from wages. Savings stopped making sense. And people couldn't understand why. They blamed politicians. They blamed luck. They blamed life itself. But they never looked at the power behind the money. The truth is this: this system wasn't designed to set you free, but to keep you in debt and constantly moving. It rewards borrowing. It punishes saving. It encourages consumption. And everything is marketed as stability. But the stability being protected isn't yours. When a crisis hits, the same thing is always saved: the system, the banks, the assets, not the people. That's why understanding this matters. Because when the cost of money is distorted, everything in life changes. Risk becomes harder to measure. Planning the future becomes harder. Real wealth becomes unreachable. And worst of all, most people don't even realize it. Your loan interest, your home price, your savings, all of it is the result of decisions made in rooms you'll never enter. So what can you do? Start by seeing clearly. Central banks aren't gods. They're players. You can't tear this system down on your own, but you can live less dependent on it. Reduce debt. Diversify. Keep it simple. Focus on things with real value. Learn how money works. Teach others. Question the narratives, because the next crisis will come, and central banks will once again save the system. Protecting yourself is up to you. History doesn't repeat itself exactly, but if you don't understand it, it hits you in the same place. If this gave you a different perspective, subscribe. History has the answers. I'll show you where to look.